Wow, how beautiful the moon is tonight. I think nothing could ruin this beautiful night.
Hey, my dear YouTube cookies, this is the first video of what I hope will be several, so without further ado, let's begin. Legendary cookies are cookies that, as their name suggests, are beings of great power or that represent natural elements, be it things like ice, fire, or even evil and darkness itself. Today we're going to talk about Sea Fairy Cookie, the first of the legendary cookies to arrive in the game. Sea Fairy Cookie was released on June 22, 2022 as a Bomber-class cookie. In her story, we're told that she is the former elemental guardian of the seas and that she left all that behind for her dream of reaching the moon. To give you an idea of what being an elemental guardian means, she was the guardian of the seas, having complete control of the seas themselves, being an extension of them. She is the sea in cookie form. With this in mind, then she must be a very powerful cookie. I mean, she has to live up to legendary rarity. Ho! Well, T has damage, and also a somewhat long stun. But wait, they also gave her a crystal gem, a way to improve legendary cookies. What? What do you mean? No. What do you mean her crystal gem was bad at first and now it's just average? Ahem. Leaving all that aside, let's look at what went wrong with Sea Fairy and what led her from being a Sea Fairy to a Sea Floop. Sea Fairy started out as an excellent cookie present in several game modes, having quite varied teams over the course of updates, but also slowly disappearing due to these same updates. As time passed, Sea Fairy disappeared from meta teams and her ability became increasingly basic compared to other cookies. I mean, just compare the ability of with another legendary cookie that came out a year later and also had the same element and a similar theme. This buried her in oblivion for a long time until her crystal gem arrived, Sea Fairy's salvation, which would bring her back to the meta, her salvation. Or maybe not. You see, when the crystal gem was released, it was much simpler than it is today. You'll see, when it came out, she had to have to charges to be able to use her tidal wave ability, which made Sea Fairy completely at the mercy of enemies while she recharged. Add to this the fact that her rally effect only increased water-type damage, which isn't all bad, but Black Pearl's crystal gem had a much better effect. In addition to also having a rechargeable ability, she had a much better base ability to use while her crystal gem was recharging. Things weren't looking good for Sea Fairy, to the point that a year after receiving her crystal gem, she received a buff reducing the charges needed to use her ability and giving her extra effects. This left her crystal gem useful but didn't fix her enough to make her meta. Overall, the problem with Sea Fairy was that they focused so much on making her crystal gem good that they forgot about her base ability. Add to this the fact that crystal gems aren't easy to level up, so they ended up leaving her completely obsolete. So I'm going to try to rework her base ability and buff her crystal gem a bit for like the third time in a row and make it at least usable by today's standards, so let's start with the buff. Let's start by separating her water stream and water pillar into two separate abilities. Let's keep the base damage of her water stream, but give her the ability to reduce enemies' attack speed by 25.0% for 12 seconds and the ability to remove burns from allies. This is because enemies would be difficult to move when wet, and the ability to remove burns since it's water ... water puts out fire, don't pretend. This would leave her water stream something like this. Now let's look at her water pillar, her signature ability. For now, we're going to increase its damage a bit from 600.7% to 725.8% to deal a bit more damage. Let's leave the base stun behind, but let's focus more on that trait of hers and give it the ability to cause a debuff increasing the stun's duration by 20.0% for 6 seconds. Okay, with this, let's start improving this in earnest. We'll give the water pillar the ability to cause sea foam to stun immune enemies, dealing 112.9% damage every 1 second for 5 seconds. It will also grant life shields equivalent to 19.5% for 5 seconds, making it more resilient while it recharges its crystal gem. Okay, now that we've given buffs to her base ability, let's give her something extra, a passive ability. This would be the Protective Wave. This would activate every 5 sec and release a small wave that would cause a 0.5 sec stun to enemies. Grant life shield equivalent to 10.0% of attack for 3 sec and increase maximum HP by 15.5% for 5 sec, but this buff would only be for cookies with water damage to keep the idea that Sea Fairy is the former elemental guardian of the sea. With all this, Sea Fairy's base ability would become much more useful. If you notice any resemblance to the Mystic Flower Cookie's passive ability, it's because both abilities aim for the same thing, keeping the cookie alive long enough to use its ability. In the case of the Sea Fairy, it would be to give it enough time to recharge its tidal wave. And speaking of tidal waves, but we won't stop there. We're also going to improve her crystal gem, but in a more nuanced way. Let's start with the rally effect and give it something extra. We'll keep the effects that increase water damage and critical hits, but also give her the ability to give allies with water damage a 50.0% chance of causing a 1-second stun when using her ability, making it more useful. As for the tidal wave, we'll keep it the same except for a new debuff, the dampness debuff. This debuff would last about 12 seconds and reduce attack speed by 15.5%, attack speed by 10.0%, and increase water damage taken by 65.5%. Also, we're going to give her Third Ascension's bonus ability a little more attention. For those who don't know, in her Third Ascension, the Crystal Gem gives the Sea Fairy an extra water pillar that does damage to the enemy with the highest attack, but this doesn't get much noticeable. So we're going to increase the damage of the water stream to 256.9% and the water pillar to 595.5%. Increase the stun to for sec, in addition to giving it the ability to cause 20.0% weakness for 12 sec to the enemy with the highest attack hit. And that would be all. Thank you all for getting to the end of this video. I hope you liked this analysis and rework of the Sea Fairy. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. Without anything else to say, I'll make crumbs and go bye-bye.